Hey everybody, I'm Jesse, and welcome to another edition of Gen X Thinks. And today I'm going to talk about whether or not President Trump could put California under martial law due to the riots and the civil unrest in that area. Can President Trump put the entire state under martial law, or at least LA and the hot points of the riots and unrest? But before I get into that, I'd like to thank Roberto Bravo for suggesting this topic. He's responsible for the inspiration. He suggested this topic in the comments. So thank you, Roberto. I sincerely appreciate it. And to answer that question, we've got to dig into a little bit of history. Now, the Constitution does not specifically mention martial law. It does not specifically go into detail about any of this stuff. But it does imply it under Article 1, Section 9, the suspension clause, where it says that civil liberties and stuff can be suspended in the event of an uprising or to protect the people if it gets dangerous, if there's a threat of violence and stuff, then the president can suspend civil liberties and habeas corpus. And that has been done a couple of times in the past. Between 1801 and 1865, President Lincoln declared martial law several times in several different areas, specific areas during the Civil War, okay? It wasn't a nationwide thing, never declared martial law across the nation, just in certain key areas. And again, in Hawaii, right after Pearl Harbor, martial law was declared. So throughout our history, there's been a few times where martial law has been declared by the President of the United States, which before I did a little research on the topic, I didn't even know that. I didn't know that it had ever been done before. But it makes sense after hearing about it. The Civil War and Pearl Harbor makes perfect sense. Now, during riots and different stuff like the 92 riots, the LA riots in 92, Rodney King thing, the military was deployed like now, but martial law wasn't officially declared. It was the same thing that's happening now, where military force has been used against the civilian population, not necessarily deadly force or anything like that, but just, crowd control and non-lethal means of control have been used in the past in situations like that. But we do have laws in place to limit that thing, martial law, and it's supposed to be implemented by Congress, or at least approved by Congress, unless there's a really dire reason for it, right? In extreme cases where it's necessary, the president can just do that, right? He can just declare martial law and not even ask Congress. And that's where we get into this gray area. What is extreme? What is necessary? When do you draw that line? It's not like it's a red line in the sand that everybody can see, It's just, that's up for debate. That's someone's opinion. Is a car accident an extreme case, or are these people rioting an extreme case, or does it have to be a full-on, mobilized force of armed insurgents or something? I don't know. That's just totally up to the president's whim or opinion of the situation. Now, as far as just being an American citizen and watching this stuff unfold, I honestly never would have foreseen an event where I would be in favor of the military being used against civilians. I didn't foresee this. I never really thought that not that I never thought it would happen. I just didn't think that I would approve of it. Personally, I would be on the side of the military. Okay. I would be on the side of the government in this case. And still, I have issues with it, even today, seeing what's happening. The rioters, in my opinion, they're just stupid. They're just they're being used as pawns, as puppets. They're dancing on the ends of their strings and rioting and causing civil unrest for absolutely no reason. President Obama, Barack Obama, he deported like 2 or 3 times more people than Trump is deporting. And that's one of the issues I have with Trump. He's not deporting enough people. And he could, because Barack Obama proved it. Barack Obama got labeled as the deporter-in-chief. That was his nickname. It's hard for us to remember back then how, that kind of stuff, because nobody made a big deal of it. It was just a thing. It's something Obama did. Nobody cared. He's cleaning up our shit. Go ahead. Rock on, Obama. Get the shit done. At least do something decent during your term. You know what I mean? Nobody cared. There weren't riots in the streets, and he deported twice as many, more than twice. He deported millions more people than Trump is deporting. But nobody cared. Nobody rioted in the streets. Nobody gave a shit. But now all of a sudden, we're supposed to care. We're supposed to hate each other. We're supposed to hate Trump. We're supposed to hate whatever group they want us to hate. We're supposed to hate. I'm supposed to hate them for rioting. They're supposed to hate me for hating them. They're supposed to hate me for wanting to deport illegal aliens and fix our economy. They're supposed to hate me because I want America to be great again. You know what I'm saying? But the key point there is that Obama deported way more people than Trump. Way more. And nobody gave a shit. Nobody cared. Now, though, they're actually rioting and burning down cities and stuff. You know what I mean? And this kind of stuff is just unbelievable. Why can one president do something extreme and another president do the exact same thing, but just not as extreme, and the second president be the bad guy? He's wrong for doing it. He's wrong for trying to fix something that was broken. So it just smacks as psyop, as manipulation to me. This whole thing is wrong. There's something going on. And if we look back throughout history, back in 2020, we had the whole COVID thing. Before that, 2010, it was the economic bubble that burst and we had the recession. 2000, it was 2001 though, but pretty much a decade before that was 9/11. A decade before that, in 1990, 91, we had the whole Iraq thing. Desert Shield, Desert Storm, all that. I joined the Army for that. That's when I joined the Army, was 1990. And actually went to basic training in January 91. We had that going on at that time, that whole thing. Before that was the beginning of the 1980s, and I was a kid then, so I don't really remember. Was it the Iran hostages or something? Maybe something else. I don't remember. But every 10 years, basically, at the beginning or the end of every decade, we get some kind of big event that is unleashed upon us, right? Upon the public, and we're supposed to be afraid, and we're supposed to live in fear and look to the government to help us and all this, right? And that seems to be the course of things. So by the end of this decade, in the next 4 or 5 years, I completely expect something pretty big to happen. Okay. And it's not even a real stretch of the imagination. It's it's not really branching off into conspiracy theory territory. I mean, every 10 years, some shit happens, at least for the last, 30, 40 years it has, most definitely. And so by looking at that, we can tell that something is coming up. There is something coming. And they keep talking about this great reset and this reset. And I've heard a few different times from a few different places that this great reset is going to happen in 2030, which would play right into the decade thing, right? The decade cycle. Every decade we get some crazy shit happen. And what are they going to do with this? How are they going to use this rioting and this civil unrest and to implement the next big thing, right? This next big catastrophe we're going to face in 2030. And there's no telling what level of catastrophe that will be. Will it be something big like 9/11? Something that was supposed to be big? I mean, it seemed big when it first started, like COVID, that seemed like a really big thing, but in the end it was. But if you think about it, COVID, 9/11, the recession of 2010, 2009 through 2012, whatever it was, but it was definitely in full swing in 2010. Those were big events, and they changed a lot of lives. Every one of them killed a lot of people in a lot of ways, right? How many people died between 2019 and 2022? A lot of people died from that shit. How many people died during and right after 9/11 and everything that transpired after that, but stemming directly from 9/11? How many people died during the recession of 2010? These things cost a lot of lives. And when you put together the plan for the population, the population of the earth that they have, and this decade cycle of these big catastrophes that cause a lot of lives to be lost, and then this plan for this great reset that's coming around, right? You start putting these puzzle pieces together, and you come up with something pretty big that's on the horizon. If not at the end of this decade, then possibly at the end of the next one. But I just believe that it's just common damn sense to brace ourselves and prepare for the end of this decade. There's something coming. I don't know what level, will it be apocalyptic level shit? I don't know. Will it be but something big though, like 9/11 or the recession of 2010 or COVID? Probably by the looks of it, it's going to be at least on par with those three events So we can expect something to come out. They're going to pull something out of their hats. And the real question is, in my mind, is Trump and this administration, what team are they on, right? Are they really on the team of the American people, or are they just kind of like the deep state's version of reverse psychology, right? They're working both sides of the fence here. It's hard for me to tell. But with what's happened with Kash Patel and what he's saying now, he's done a complete 180. I mean, the opposite of what he was saying before. What he was saying, the stuff he was saying he was going to do. He was going to come in there and tell us all about Epstein and stuff and all this and release the files and start arresting people. Now he's saying, there's nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. Y'all are conspiracy theorists. Y'all know me. If there was someone to arrest, they would be in chains. They would be behind bars. I would already have them arrested. There's no one to arrest. Just no one. This is all just smoke and mirrors. Y'all are barking up the wrong tree here. Now, And the point of that is that Pam Bondi, I think it is, that the Attorney General, I think that's her name. But earlier, a few months ago, she was saying that the only thing that was delaying the release of the information was the pure volume of the information. And the victims involved, that they didn't want to, they had to respect the victims and release this in a timely manner. And it's taken a while to go through all the list of all the shit, right? Now, Kash Patel is saying there is no list, there's no shit, there's nothing, right? So something is fishy. I don't know if threats are involved or blackmail or what. I don't know what is involved in the situation, but Kash Patel, the director of the FBI, has done a complete 180. We're going to get him. We've got tons of evidence and we're going to start locking people up, to now where he's saying, nothing, there's nothing to see here. Nobody did anything wrong. Nobody did anything wrong. He was just out there fishing. Epstein was just out there fishing on his island and shit or whatever and drinking margaritas. He was just a normal guy. There's nothing fishy about him at all. There was nothing illegal was done ever. So yeah, that makes me really question what's happening in that whole administration. Okay. And all this with that Elon Musk did, with the Doge and all that. I mean, I'm sure some good stuff was done. Will we feel it? Will we, the American people, will we realize, some of these good things that were done in our pocketbooks? Will we notice it? I don't know. I don't know if we will or not. But another thing, that Elon Musk's exit from the whole situation, right? And all that. Now, there's a possibility that this whole about face that the Trump administration is doing might have more to do with Elon Musk's exit than some bill, okay? Than some bill that Trump's putting through, because Elon Musk was privy to the bill the whole time. He knew what Trump was going to do the whole time. Trump was on stage at his rallies talking about what he was going to do. We're going to quit subsidizing electric cars. I know Elon Musk is on board with it. We've talked about it. He's not upset about it. He said that several times at several of his rallies. Trump did. It's on record. Now, all of a sudden, Elon Musk is mad because Trump's not going to subsidize electric cars anymore. Now, even Elon Musk talked about it. I saw an interview with him, and he said, well, it's, I just don't think that's going to harm Tesla at all. The electric cars are the future. You could have subsidized horses back in the day, but people were moving to cars, and it didn't matter how much you wanted people to continue to ride horses. They just weren't going to do it. Something to that effect is what he said. So he knew full well coming into it that they weren't going to subsidize electric cars anymore. So now for him to exit the administration because they're not subsidizing electric cars anymore, that's just a little fishy to me, okay? It doesn't make sense. And shit that doesn't make sense, it's usually there's something else going on there. You know what I'm saying? There's another reason Elon Musk exited the administration. There's another reason that he backed off and turned his back on him and got pissed off at him. Now, maybe he was in there and maybe he was privy to some of the shit that was actually going on within the administration. Maybe he was hearing stuff in there, you know what I mean, while he was on Capitol Hill going through that stuff. And just maybe he decided he didn't want to be part of any of that shit. That's not what he signed up for. That's just my conjecture. I'm just thinking through shit and thinking through possibilities, but it smells fishy to me. I don't know. So I don't count on any of these government officials or any kind of government politicians or anything to be any kind of savior for me. You know what I mean? I don't trust them. I don't trust a politician as far as I can throw my work van. I just don't trust them. So as soon as somebody gets in there, then I have questions. And it's just too easy to take someone else's money and spend it and throw it around. And then when you're up there, it's too easy for people to get blackmail on you. And if you have any kind of family, to use your family as leverage with threats and stuff. So it's too easy for those people to get manipulated, you know? So and not that I'm saying that any of those people are bad people. I'm just saying that sometimes you got to do what you got to do to protect your family. And where do you draw that line? You know, where do you draw that line? That's a tough one. You know, do you save, one of your closest relatives, the one you love the most, or do you save, 10,000 strangers? That would be a tough decision. I don't care who you are. That's a tough decision. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that. But as far as the martial law goes, I don't see it happening anytime soon. Not unless they really get out of hand with this shit, right? All these protests and shit. I mean, honestly, it seems like a big deal, and they're burning shit or whatever. They're burning their stuff down and shit, and throwing rocks and whatever they do, But it would really take an armed group of militia or something, an armed tactical force of some kind to make them declare martial law. Someone will have to arm up and take, part of a city like some kind of Escape from New York scenario or something, where a bunch of criminals really armed to the teeth and just took over a section of the city. And that's what they did, if you remember, in Seattle, in Chaz, and they didn't declare martial law back then, right? They didn't declare martial law, even though they did it for a while. I mean, it really has to go a long way before they declare martial law. Now, that's not taking into consideration some kind of plan or agenda coming down from above, from the deep state. So if that's the case, where Trump would be subject to that, which I'm not positive he is, but I'm keeping that idea open. I'm not completely opposed to that idea that he is subject to the deep state. Now, if that came down, then he'll declare martial law over anything. Somebody spilled an icy on the sidewalk, he could declare martial law and say that's a national emergency. I mean, technically, it's up to him. So at any point in time, he could do it. Now, Congress will fight him and all this stuff, but maybe that's the point. Maybe he might declare martial law in order to spark a big argument, a big debate, and have people rioting all across the nation because he declared martial law in some place that he wasn't supposed to, and he's acting like he's going to become a dictator or something. I don't know. There's just so many scenarios. It's impossible to try to foresee any of that stuff. So to wrap this up, can Trump declare martial law? Most definitely he can. Yes, he can. Will he? Doubtful. It's doubtful, unless it's part of some bigger plan that we're not privy to. We're not privy to the reasons why he would declare martial law. If he's part of some deep state conspiracy, there would be plans beyond the obvious. All right. He wouldn't declare martial law because they're rioting. He would declare martial law because he was told to declare martial law by the deep state. That's more to the point. That's more what we need to be concerned with. And I'll leave you there with that. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and comment. If you'd like to support the channel by becoming a member, I'll leave that link down in the description, or you can head over to the channel page and become a member that way. Thank you very much to all the members out there. You sincerely don't understand how much I appreciate it. I appreciate it so much, so thank you very much. If you'd like to support the channel directly, you can do so by clicking on that super thanks button down there. Or you can head over to Buy Me a Coffee and buy me a cup of coffee. I appreciate those of you who do that, and I'll leave that link down in the description for you. If you're interested in Gen X gear, we got some pretty cool stuff over there at Redbubble. Gen X Thinks and Gen X branded stuff, t-shirts, coffee mugs, stickers, all kinds of cool stuff over there. But I'll leave that link down in the description too for any of you who are interested. If you can't or don't want to support the channel in any of those ways, you can always do so by sharing these videos on your social media. That helps out one hell of a lot, so thank you very much to those of you who do that. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you. If you have any ideas for future episodes of Gen X Thinks, please put those down in the comments. Or you can email us, and the email is genxthinks@gmail.com. And as always, stay frosty, Gen X, and I'll see you on the next one.